Alright, what is going on, everyone? Ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, how the heck are you doing today? I hope I find everyone happy, healthy, living life to the fullest as always. We are back in Virginia here today for this video. I will have some more clips up from my trip that I just took this past weekend in Fayetteville. I've got so much footage to offload. So if you haven't seen my last video where I also almost crashed, go give that a watch. Definitely go give that a watch. It's very, very entertaining. I promise you. We saved a turtle. I almost crashed. A whole bunch of stuff happened. But it was a very eventful weekend. It was very nice. But on my trip back, I was thinking about video ideas and ended up thinking of this video idea. So I'm probably going to do this today. And that is how I'm going about, or at least planning on going about, resetting my trading in a way, or resetting my brain to try and kind of push myself a bit further in trading, especially because I'm coming up on the year mark. I'm at 10-11 months into my trading journey total, and I mean, while I've had success, I want to have, of course, more success. I'm human. I want more. I always want more. Who doesn't want more, right? There we go. I had to close my top vent, so hopefully it helps my mic a bit. But anywho, one of the first things that I decided I was going to do when I, stumbled upon the fact that, maybe it's time to give myself a little mental reset, is taking a break. And not like, still look at charts, still study and do all that. No, I mean like a full-on break, like an actual break from trading, which has kind of been going on for the past like week and a half, 2 weeks, since before my vacation, that week before, and then kind of carrying through this week. And that's just giving myself time to reset, my mentality, to be able to reset my brain to trading and kind of come back with a fresh open box and room to, learn and teach myself things. And honestly, it's been very relaxing taking this break from trading for the past, week and a half. Especially going on my, trip. I mean, the whole time I was down there, I didn't even think about trading once, and it was really nice to just kind of have it off my mind for a second. While I do love it, as many of you probably already know, it's stressful. It stresses you out a bit sometimes, especially whenever you're thinking about it 24/7. Oh, I'm starting in second gear. Look at me being a dummy. But yeah, so I decided to, just give myself time to really reset my brain. And just, I haven't looked at charts, I haven't looked at news, I haven't watched a single trading video. I have not done a single thing related to trading in the past, week and a half, 2 weeks now. And that honestly, that feels like a good step in the right direction at the moment for me. The next thing that I kind of have planned is I'm going back to my old strategy. I'm going to go back to supply and demand. It's where I had the most success. I'm kind of, like, I'm still probably going to be trying to work on something of my own, but I feel like what I really need to just in general lock in on is what's already shown me that I can have success with, and try and build upon that, because what I was doing before was kind of just something that is just basic supply and demand. You wait for a touch, wait for the fair value gap to get filled, and then, fly out of said zone. And I mean, that's pretty much all I was doing. There wasn't exactly anything crazy to it, anything special that gave me extra confirmations, things like that. There was, no crazy like higher time frame analysis or anything like that. And that's stuff that I kind of want to add into this, going back into it. It's, I want to be able to add extra confluences and extra, conviction onto each trade that I'm taking, rather than just candle touch zone buy, candle touch zone sell, because I mean, that's essentially what I was doing before. But I know a lot more now, and I've gone through a lot more, and I've got a general idea of certain things that I can add in to, try and give me those extra confluences, that extra conviction towards being able to take more winning trades, rather than just kind of, going with the trend and then just hoping that that zone holds, as it's going with that trend. stuff like that. So that was definitely my current step 2 for, you know, resetting my trading. And that's, for me at least, just going back to something that I already know, that I have a pre-built foundation off of, and just sticking with that and building upon that. And I feel like that's going to lead me back in the right direction and back into that success pattern that I was having before, you know, with that. Why is it something in my bag hot? That's weird. It feels like my bag's like heating up. I don't like that. Oh, it was a chick on a Harley. Huh. But yeah, my step 3 is I need to get back on my grind with things, man. I need to get back in the habit of studying, back in the habit of, you know, reading every night, of sitting here, you know, teaching myself different theories related to my strategy, related to the markets, related to market movements, and also probably just find some more updated information on how markets like to move nowadays. Because I mean, we're in a different, in my opinion at least, we're in a bit of a different era when it comes to market structure and market movement, you know. One tweet could change everything. Pair that with news and everything else, and I mean, you know, it's just, it's a whole different set of movement now compared to under Biden's administration, you know. It's different. So that's something else that I want to try and do, is just push myself back into that habit. Because before, you know, I kind of also was just not reading there as much. I wasn't as focused as I once was. That's a big reason why I also wanted to just have a big mental reset, you know, and why I'm just taking this mental reset that I am currently, and just not paying attention to anything trading based, and just giving my mind a break to process everything, to fully, you know, understand the things that I know now, and just kind of really ingest that information and actually be able to digest it, you know. I think another thing that I'm also gonna probably add into just my steps of things to do is reevaluate my times that I trade. I normally have been just trading at work, right? I will trade on my phone at work. And before that, when I did have my success and stuff, I was trading pre-markets, I was trading, you know, late nights. I wasn't really trading direct New York session, and I feel like trading in New York session has kind of messed me up, you know? It's kind of humbled me in a way, because, I mean, to me, at least at the time, I think, hey, I can just trade New York session just like any other session, even though that's not the case, you know? You can't just do that. It doesn't, that's why, you know, there's different sessions and there's different ways that each session moves. Asia session moves different than Euro. Euro moves different than, you know, Australian. Australian moves different than, you know, New York. Like, there's just complete different movements to each session. And I feel like I found my most successful times in those pre-market, or, you know, pre-New York session, or just late night trading. That's where things seem to hold best for me, where things seem to, you know, be able to show themselves within the market to me. My setup was able to actually show itself, and able to actually, like, I was able to actually have time to register, you know, hey, this is probably an entry here, hey, this is probably a winning trade here, you know, so on and so forth. That's something else that I, you know, need to do. And on top of that, I need to start looking at things in more of a probability factor. I feel like that's something that I kind of did before, but not in the ways that I really want to, or feel I should. You know, I would look at each trade idea each day, and rather than kind of go over the probability of it winning based off of, you know, past losing trades and past, you know, winning trades and stuff like that, you know, like what convicted me to take this trade? What convinced me that I need to take this trade, and convinced me that this is a high probability trade? That's something that I kind of lacked for some time now, is just paying attention to that. I would just, you know, see my idea and enter, rather than really thinking too logically on it, or at least giving it some sort of thought, you know? I would just see setup, take setup. That's it. And while that can be good, because again, you're just removing the emotions, it can also mess you up pretty quickly, especially with, you know, drawdown limits and things like that on prop evals. You know, just taking every trade you see, you know, you can probably see, you know, some strategies you can see are set up a bunch of times every day, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be winners. You know, I wasn't thinking of the probability of this being a winner based off of different conviction, based off of different confluences, based off of just many different things that will help give me that edge in a way. Yeah, these are things that I feel like are going to definitely help me kind of reset myself and get right back on track into where I need to be going into, you know, my next year of trading, right? This is not something that I'm probably ever going to give up on. I genuinely don't see myself giving up on trading or like calling it quits. Like, sure, trading can be emotionally taxing at times. It can be, you know, mentally draining. It can be. But sitting there thinking I'm going to be, you know, stuck at my 9 to 5 for the rest of my life, or I'm going to be stuck making, you know, 15 an hour for the rest of my life, that's more mentally draining to me than sitting here letting the charts take my money. Like, it's kind of like a pros and cons thing, and for me, the pros of trading outweigh the cons so much more. And there's just, I don't see any genuine reason for me to ever quit. You know, unless I'm forced to, like if one day prop firms just magically all disappear and I can't, you know, I now can't afford to have my own account that I can actually make money and not be making pennies on the dollar with. You know, if that happened, then I mean, of course, you know, I'm kind of forced to quit until I can actually build up the money to. But even then, I'm still probably not going to quit. It's just paper trade until I have the capital to be able to do my own thing, you know, save up for my job and then get right back onto it, you know. Yeah, I would definitely, you know, if any of these things sound familiar to you, like, you know, hey, maybe this might help me, maybe that might help me. I mean, I sure hope that something in here, you know, might make somebody out there, or at least one of you guys, think, hey, maybe let me try this. Hey, maybe you might just be right. Let me, you know, I never really thought of it this way. I never really, you know, saw it this way. I never, you know, so on and so forth, whatever it may be. But yeah, it's a pretty short video today. Nothing too crazy. I just wanted to kind of talk about some of the steps that I'm taking, or some of the things that I'm doing / changing, you know, within my trading, to try and put myself back on the right path that I want to be on, and, you know, get back to where I want to be. But anywho, I'll share a little bit about my weekend as well. A lot happened this weekend, man. It was a crazy weekend. It was so much fun. I cannot wait for the next, you know, week or so. What the heck? Is that a Grom? I don't know what that was. Oh, the old head riding that thing. He was flying on that. But yeah, it was a crazy weekend. A lot happened. My buddy crashed. He ended up crashing his bike an hour after, it was like 2 hours after leaving the dealership. But it wasn't even his own fault. A car pulled into his lane while he was coming around a blind corner. And he either had to choose hit the car head on or veer to the side and go into the cornfield where there's freshly, you know, milled dirt and stuff like that, which, I mean, he made the smarter decision going into that cornfield. Probably saved him and his bike, because he ended up getting flipped off the bike and the bike slid for a little while, but no damage other than just a popped out blinker that we pop right back in. You know, he was all good. It scared the life out of me because, you know, I mean, he's my buddy. I've been friends with this kid since we were in elementary school. I've been friends with him for years, and I was hoping, whenever I heard him yell in the car, though, I ate shit. I was sitting here begging and praying to God that he is okay, that he is fine, and that, you know, it's not something much worse, or he might not be, you know, that he's not going to the ER or something and going to be in the hospital for a while. Especially because, I mean, it was his first time, you know, truly riding on the road, and, you know, it was his first time getting to truly experience a bike outside of the MSF. So, it was something that, you know, I just didn't want it to ruin his experience of bikes, and thankfully it didn't. He got right back up and he was like, all right, let's get back to riding, boys. Yeah, it was pretty great. It was funny. We laughed about it afterwards, but definitely very scary in the moment, especially if any of you have ever gotten any of your friends into riding. You know what I'm talking about. It's nerve-wracking watching them get on that bike, and you already know what it's like riding a motorcycle, you know, and you just want them to have the best experience possible. You don't want them to, you know, crash or anything. Man, it is hot. I wish I did not bring my sweatshirt today, because I just have my chest bag right now. I don't know if the camera picks that up, but I just have my little chest bag, my Sidisi chest bag, which I also bought this weekend. It was pretty nice. It was only like 35 bucks, and I love this thing. It carries pretty much everything I need. I just wish it had, you know, of course, more space, but then it wouldn't be much of a chest bag. It would just be a backpack. But, yeah. So it was a pretty wild weekend. I sadly didn't get any footage of him crashing or anything like that, which, I mean, I don't, you know, it's kind of morbid saying. I wish I got footage of my buddy crashing. He wished he got footage of him crashing. So he could have started his channel with that. It would have been a funny video. But, or a funny way to start out his channel. But, yeah, I mean, aside from that, and then also me almost crashing, insane save, by the way, on my part. I don't know how I didn't hit this car. I don't know how I didn't fall off the bike. It was wild. I just locked in for a second once I saw I was about to get messed up, and narrowly, by like inches, not even inches, probably centimeters, avoided getting into an accident with this car. And yeah, my own stupidity, I wasn't paying attention or nothing, you know, properly at least. I like looked over out of the corner of my eye for a second at my buddy, and I was like, huh, he's slowing down. I wonder why he's slowing down. And then I looked back in front of me and I was like, oh, that's why he's slowing down, because this car was coming to a dead stop trying to make a turn into their driveway. And I was like, bro, like, you don't got a dead stop, like, come on. You know, you don't got a dead stop to make this turn. But anywho, I'll stop yapping you guys' ears off. I will save the rest of what happened this weekend for the videos that I'm going to end up putting out, since I have plenty of footage for you guys. So keep an eye out for those. Again, if you haven't already watched, you know, my last video, go ahead and watch it. I'm going to put a link up in the top right, probably, of this video. It's probably somewhere up here, this way. You'll probably see it pop up about now. But yeah, go give that a watch. Very entertaining video. And I want to, you know, try and put out more content just throughout the weeks for you guys as well. Something I also thought about as well, I am monetized now. There are ads on my videos. I do apologize to those of you who hate ads, but, you know, hey, you'd do it too. You know, if you had the option to be monetized on YouTube, you'd do it too. And I think at the end of the day, it costs nobody nothing, so I don't see the harm in at least, you know, making you watch a 10-15 second ad every so often. But yeah, if y'all would like as well, I was thinking about at the end of the month, once I finally, you know, get my total revenue together, giving you guys a look at what YouTube revenue on a small channel looks like for you guys. You know, for any of you who are into doing YouTube and stuff like that, you can at least get a general idea of what it looks like being a small YouTuber like I am, and, you know, just pulling in the types of views that I'm pulling. You know, what does YouTube money really look like, at least from ad revenue. So if you guys would like to see that, definitely let me know. We are still recording. I was hoping I still had battery in this thing. I also copped some new batteries. I have like 3 batteries. I got a 2-pack of Enduro batteries plus a dual charger for like, I think like 50-60 bucks at Best Buy. It was open box, and it's originally like 70-75, which, I mean, it's not too much off, but hey, that's a pretty big decent bargain for me, considering one Enduro battery by itself is like $35-40. So but yeah, so I got much more record time now, which is pretty nice. But anywho, I will catch all of you in the next one. I hope all of you enjoyed this video, and I hope all of you had a phenomenal weekend. You know, let me know down in the comments what you guys got going on. What's your week plans? What's your weekend plans? You know, what's everything that you got going on in your life? Let me know. Give me a little insight on y'all. You know, I'm always talking about myself, okay? It gets a little boring, all right? But anywho, I love you all. I hope you have a great one, and I will see y'all all in the next one. Peace, everybody.